invite you to connect with your body, with the space that you are in. Come back to your breath. Connect with your posture, your sense of comfort. Stability. Just be aware of the space that you are in, and that is in you. Establishing contact with yourself. Arriving into your own space. Into a sense of ease and comfort. Connected with the earth. Its stability. Just for a moment or so, look and enjoy the pleasant sensation of the breath. We can breathe. We can see the quality of letting go of the breath. And the renewal of the breath bringing life to us. Breathing like this, there is a quality of stillness. Opening into spaciousness. We'll just take one moment more of silence. not on? Is that it?
There's no.
It's not on.
Lo mean?
No, it's not on. Sorry.
It's okay.
Well, I mean, I think that it's not on.
Then I have to use my glasses. So, here we are. Saturday. Yeah. The 7th of February. In Nave Shalom. It's the last day of our retreat. And as we know, every ending is a beginning to something else. So it's the beginning of after the retreat. We had some wonderful songs this morning on happiness and joy and suffering and the internature of the two and the fleetingness of both. And we know that, like everything else, happiness is impermanent. And sometimes we forget that we have also to nourish and appreciate and feed, maybe, what we've got. Everything needs nourishment to survive. We spoke a few times during the retreat on seeing ourselves as gardeners. And I think this is a wonderful image. Being a gardener, it kind of empowers you. It gives you some feeling that you have some control, if you really wish, over the seeds that are in your consciousness. That they are not just there taking you over, whatever they may be, whether it may be too much, if there is such a thing as too much joy, and certainly too much sorrow. So our function, as we talked a few times, is to sow the seeds that we want to grow and to nourish these in our store consciousness. But we also have another function as gardeners, and that is to take care of the storehouse itself. We're taking care of the seeds in the storehouse, and we're taking care of the storehouse itself. And we're taking care of the conditions which nourish the seeds. Not too humid, not too dry. As good gardeners, we know what we need to do. So on Thursday, the first day, it seems like another world practically. It's only 2 days ago, but I talked about a boat as a container for carrying a rock of a suffering or an emotion that we find it difficult to handle. And today I just want to mention the importance of taking care of the boat itself. And I just wanted to share with you, the boat is very vivid for me because I grew up on a river beside a lake. So we spent all our summers, or a lot of our summers as children, on the lake. And in the winter, my father used to take the boat out, put it on blocks, dry it out, scrape the old paint, put oil on it, paint it, leave it, and furbish it for the next summer. And then it was really in excellent condition. It was wonderful. And I could, as a child, lie down on the bottom of the boat without getting wet and just allow the boat to take me wherever the breeze was going that particular day. So I think every one of us have these little resources of calm, of peace from our childhood, something. It could be sitting on the path looking at an ant walking by. There can be something, but we just have to remind ourselves to remember these things and to go back to these resources. Moments of joy. So, besides mindfulness, we also need concentration to take care of our happiness, because sometimes things come and we enjoy them for the moment, and in our forgetfulness we allow them to go by and we don't fully appreciate the depth of what they can offer us while they are there. It can be a tiny little flower that makes our hearts widen, open. And what's important is just taking the time to appreciate this. Because when we do that, and we spend a little time with it, it becomes part of our consciousness that we can go into and touch when we need it. Otherwise, it just floats by. So nothing exists without food. Not happiness and not suffering. And we should remember that also when we are suffering. Are we feeding it? Are we getting some kind of I talked about manas before, some kind of a desire to be sorry for ourselves or something? Just we have to look inside ourselves to be aware. To be aware. So these 4 kinds of nutriments, which Thich Nhat Hanh talks about regularly, they're edible food, sense impressions, volition, what we want, and consciousness. So this is both individual and collective. So we know what edible food is like. We've had plenty of it in the last few days. Yeah. So the second food is the sense impressions, which we also have been really nourished by in the last few days, and I hope that we are taking this into our consciousness and that it will continue to be kind of a boat which is going to hold us, or whatever image somebody brings up. We all see things differently. We receive it through our eyes and our ears, and our nose and our tongue, all our senses. But this also includes the media, and your phone, and your text messages. And it also includes the information and ideas that come into your consciousness and that we consume every day. We're bringing things in, we are spinning our stories about them, and we are holding on to them. And they affect how we take our next steps. So, if we're not mindful, these 6 senses can allow in a lot of toxins, a lot of poisons. And with mindfulness, you can see mindfulness as a kind of a skin which protects the mind. We know these stories from the Buddhist canon of a cow whose skin is damaged, and the flies and insects come and attack this open wound. The cow is itchy and he goes to a tree and he scratches himself against the tree and he opens the wound even more. We can see our minds can be like that. as well. So it helps us sometimes to have images of seeing that our mindfulness can be kind of a skin which takes care of the mind. And our third source of nutriment is volition. Our will, our concern, what we care about, our desires. And this nourishment kind of feeds our decisions and our actions and our movements. And if we didn't have it, we wouldn't get out of bed. I mean, we would be inert. So the energy of volition can be also wholesome, bodhicitta, or unwholesome. And I think we are here at this retreat on happiness is every step to feed our wholesome seeds, to encourage us, give us ideas, give us support, and learn from one another. So bodhicitta, we can have a volition to nourish it every day. Like the chant that monasteries have, to smile to one person in the morning and ease the pain of somebody else in the afternoon. It also can be fed by the collective with which we have chosen to be, with the partner we are with the sangha we are with. This is all volition. Pai reminds us when we wake up without a toothache to say, this is a great day, this is a marvelous day, this is a no toothache day. Yeah. So that we have many keys, many doors to nourish our mindfulness, to nourish our happiness. But first of all, we have to have the intention, the volition to do so. For example, metta meditation is something that I have used and I use. I use it to, in many ways, to make myself happy and to make other people happy. And you don't have to tell anybody you're doing it, because there's an energy which comes with a consistent mindset. If you care and wish somebody well and wish them ease and wish them a wholesome life, this energy is transmitted and it really affects the other, especially if it's directed specifically towards anybody. I won't go into my stories, but I have many, but I have just mentioned one. I had a boss who was, to put it mildly, extremely difficult. And I knew that I wasn't going to change him. So I did make a meditation on him for 3, 4, 5 months, I don't remember, every single day. There was 67 steps up to my office, and I didn't take the elevator, and I did metta meditation on him. And one day he said something which normally would have got us into a row, which would have lasted for a week and permeated the whole office, and I didn't respond because I was with him. I understood him. I saw where he was coming from. It didn't even irritate me. So maybe this was, I had grown a kind of a skin of mindfulness. I didn't have to react. And I wasn't even working at it. You know, it was just suddenly it was there. And it never went away. And I also wanted to mention the food of consciousness, the mental streams, the streams of consciousness. And we don't even notice that it's happening. We're walking around the kitchen, we're cleaning up, we're doing whatever we're doing. And we have these thoughts running through our head all the time, and we think that they're not very important because they're kind of grey areas, just not important, but they are very important. And it's very interesting if we look at them and see it, do they have a pattern to them? And even if they are random, what is bringing them on? Because how we shape these as if random streams of thought that are going through our mind is going to also shape the kind of a day we're going to have. And the day we're going to have is the day we're going to, it's shaping the next day. And it's shaping our lives. And it's almost as if we get pulled along in our lives from day to day without taking into account or without realizing that we really have power to be able to shape this in the direction that we want to go. So as I mentioned earlier, all of these foods can be healthy or unhealthy. Nourishing or toxic. And our mindfulness is the key to our protection. According to Thich Nhat Hanh, happiness is simply a way of being. We don't have to work for it to achieve it. It's based on an inner peace. And he mentioned many, many things, which we could talk about this for a week. But one of them, which was very meaningful for me, was accepting oneself as one is. Just self-acceptance. To be yourself. Not to try too hard to be accepted by others. I mean, you don't have to do things to be not accepted by them, but just to accept yourself. If you accept yourself fully, you don't have to work hard at accepting others as well. It's just kind of a byproduct. And he says in his language, his beautiful language, when you're a lotus flower, you don't have to pretend to be a magnolia. Yeah. So if you crave this change and want to try and change yourself to fit some kind of an image that you imagine that you should be, or that other people want you to be, or that you think that your parents wanted you to be, although they have already passed on 20 or 30 years before, and you're still trying to fit yourself to be the person that you thought that they wanted you to be, then this does not lead to happiness. So just accept yourself. And others will accept you too. When people accept themselves, and they are themselves, and they're completely authentic with themselves, they are accepted. And they don't have to be perfect. They just have to be authentic, be present, bring their true presence, whatever it is. And just because somebody else is something else, you don't have to strive to be like them. Okay, we can let a fleeting thought go by, oh, it would be wonderful to be like her. But you don't have to do something to make yourself like that. Accept yourself with understanding, with compassion. This is why also doing metta meditation on ourselves is very important. Metta meditation should start with ourselves. I wish that I will be happy. I wish myself at ease. I wish to have compassion for myself and for others. One of my first lessons from my teacher about 30 years ago was, she saw perfectionism in me and she said, look in the mirror every morning, smile to yourself and say, Sheila, you're doing your best. You're all right. And I didn't even get the point. It took me 10 years at least, or 15 even, to see that this was a really serious basic teaching. There's an Irish poet that I like very much. His name is Oscar Wilde. You may have heard of him. And he has a lot of pithy sayings. He said, "Be yourself. Everybody else is taken." So if you make up your mind to find joy within yourself, sooner or later you will find it. Just without making an effort, just have in your consciousness this wish to go within and to find your happiness within yourself. And I just want to briefly mention how important it is to be aware that our body is a storehouse of everything that we have ever experienced or gone through. It's our best friend. It doesn't matter what condition that it is in, but every cell of our body retains memories, sensations that we have gone through. We're very conscious of how our body can remind us of trauma and of painful experiences. But with practice and with consciousness, our body will also remember and hold little pockets of happiness that we can touch when we need it. I think I mentioned it already, maybe in the first day, about finding some exercise I was doing, finding a pocket of happiness in the soles of my feet. And I used that for a long time, and I still use it. It's still there. But everybody will have in his body a place where he's, and maybe many places, where we store these memories of beautiful moments, of wonderful connections. And it actually changes the texture and the feeling of the part in the body where it is being held. You can feel it. This morning, in the walking meditation, for me, some kind of a stillness entered into me, which made my whole body feel that it was weightless and grounded at the same time. I thought if I put out my hands, I will take off. And then we did mindful exercises with Doreen. And really, I felt I had to anchor my feet to the ground, because this was a continuation of mindfulness of the body, which somehow or another triggered in me memories of many, many other happy moments like this, of movement or of sensation. And of course, I'm coming back to my favorite subject, to be in touch with reality, to be happy. We need to be in touch with reality. And realizing that just nothing stands by itself. And remembering these connections that and these memories that we hold in our body, I remembered, it's not just, it's wonderful the way that when we decide that we are going to enjoy our lives, we're going to be awake, we're going to be aware, we're not going to glide through in forgetfulness. Even things in retrospect, when we look at them which did not make us happy maybe at the time, we can see that they had a seed of happiness in them and nourish this afterwards. And I'm just bringing something short from my own life. A few years ago, in the Sangha, my dear Sangha sisters wanted to give me a very happy birthday. I'm sure many people here remember it. And I wasn't prepared for it. I wasn't prepared probably to reach that age. And to see that everybody else remembered that I was at that age. I just was not there for it. So I wasn't really present for it. It was happening outside me, and I was looking as an observer. And when you're looking as an observer, your mind is working. Not always positively. And you're spinning stories. But luckily, my good friends left me with physical memories or physical artifacts from that particular birthday. They made little cranes, these bird paper, and they wrote gathas. And I brought them home and I put them in a cupboard. And I didn't see them for quite a long time. And then as I grew older and grew wiser, I began to look back and to revisit the whole scene. And suddenly, something entirely different opened up. And now my cranes are hanging on my wall. I see them every day. And that particular experience has shifted from something which did not bring me happiness to something which brings me constant feeling of togetherness, of gratitude, of joy. It's just, I'm really amazed myself at how one, with will, with intention, how one can shift. It's like a kaleidoscope. You just move things, and all the same little pieces are there, and the picture is totally different. So I'm inviting you to try these exercises. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm maybe getting carried away. I also wanted to mention that there's something about happiness which is not really, in a way, it's not really earthly. It's no possession really brings us happiness. It maybe brings us some joy. But there are material things don't really, it's something that is beyond what we can put our fingers on. And it's a recognition that there is a dimension beyond the dimension that we are normally living in. Thai talks about the 8 bodies. You can be happy in your body, but this deep happiness kind of belongs to a kind of a cosmic body. We are part of something which is beyond ourselves, which we cannot hold on to, but we know that it's there. We really, without seeing physical proof or scientific proof, we know that it is there. It's the most important things in our lives, actually. But we can, being human, we can only touch this ultimate dimension through the physical, through the historical. So we can do that with sound, with singing, with the song of a bird, with the leaves, with people, with connection. When we are really touching this with our whole presence, then a kind of a veil disappears and we're interwoven, interbeing, interconnected with something which is really infinite, boundless. And it is a great happiness to touch that feeling, even for a second, even for a split second. It is so strong that it stays in one's body, in one's memory, in one's cell, and this is something that we can go back and touch. And we need to go back and touch it. There's something about these moments that they can be nourished by the retelling of the tale, by sharing it with friends, by remembering it ourselves. Otherwise, it goes into a kind of a fog of forgetfulness. It needs to be nourished. And I regularly nourish one moment. It felt like an hour, but I'm sure it was like one moment of being in Germany at a retreat in Yam. I walked out of a meditation hall and I was walking by myself back to my room. It was a lovely dark night. No, there weren't many lights, and suddenly I heard this. I gave the name a nightingale, but I heard this singing bird. It was a piercing song of joy, and the bird was singing, and he didn't care if anybody heard him or not. It was like he was just singing for himself, and suddenly it pierced me in a way that I can feel till this day. And afterwards I was wondering, and I felt at one with that bird, as if there was no separation between me and the bird. It was total connection. And afterwards I wondered why that particular moment was so strong, because I enjoy listening to the birds, I hear them here, but I think it was because I was just totally available for it. That's all. That bird could sing every night, and I wouldn't have noticed it. I would be going along in my thoughts, and I wouldn't have heard it. Or I would have heard it and I would have said, oh, that's very nice. But it wasn't. I was just totally available for that. So this is something that I'm inviting you to be here for the rest of this retreat also. It fills me with emotion just to think of it to this day. So I invite you to have a connection with something here which really pierces your heart. And this search for happiness is really an underlying force in our lives. We don't even maybe know that it is there, but it is there. And it will elude us if we kind of go out and try and grab it. We just have to do things to provide the conditions for the happiness to come to us. I said it before, this is, from my experience, this is so. I was told I can go over time by somebody who probably didn't have that control, but I'll finish in a moment. So I think we have so much more control over our own internal happiness than we realize. This is a wonderful knowledge to have. We cannot escape samsara, we cannot escape it, but we can learn how to live with it and not to live within boundaries that we have no control over and to be happy in that place. Some years ago, we gave a course to Palestinians and Israelis in East Jerusalem when there was freer travel, and it went on for quite some time. And we had a headmistress of a school from the Bethlehem area who used to arrive flustered and tired every morning because she was harassed on the way at checkpoints. And at the end of the course, we sent out feedback forms and to see how people related and to learn from it. And this lady wrote, she said, "For the first time in my life, I am able to go through the checkpoints as a free person." So nothing changed in the outside circumstances, but her life changed because of it. So we can all find these little seeds that we can grow ourselves and change our lives. And Thich Nhat Hanh, when he translated the Eightfold Path, he originally wrote about the path leading to happiness. The fourth, the Four Noble Truths: suffering, there is suffering, roots of suffering, the way out of suffering, and then the path. So, the path leading to happiness. And he changed it in his later translations. It was very meaningful for me, to the path of happiness. The path of happiness. He said, "With the true insight of interbeing, every step along the way leads to happiness, and it must be happiness itself. If we'll suffer along the way, we have lost the game already." Yeah. So every step along our journey, we can arrive at our destination. With every step, we can touch happiness, grounding, peace. I think, I'm not going to read more, but I think poetry seems to have the only language these days to be able to fully describe our suffering and our happiness. Words have lost a lot of meaning. They have been misused. But if we go back to the poetry and the Thich Nhat Hanh's poetry, all poetry, it can aliven our hearts, because the language there is a different language than the one that we're using in a prosaic way every day. So I would finish with a Chinese saying, "You should keep a green branch in your heart, and a singing bird will come." So after this retreat, we invite you all to practice mindfulness with the idea of keeping a green branch in your heart. And the singing bird will come when it's least expected, when you're not looking for it. It will just appear. And it's not just a fleeting state of mind. Sometimes there's such joy in happiness in just being awake. Once when the Buddha was traveling through a villager came to him and he said, "How come you're so radiant? Are you some kind of a saint?" And the Buddha answered simply, "No," he said, "I'm just awake." So our joy and our happiness come with keeping an open heart and an open mind and open hands to all that we are meeting and all that we are receiving. so much for being here, for being present.